Hey there, so today we have another advanced testosterone update, and if you guys don't already know, I'm signed up for the test. This is gonna be a two-part test, so I'm taking the written portion in March. That's about a month from the date of recording this, and yeah, so I signed up for the test in September expecting, oh yeah, I'm gonna be able to study, have like, half a year out, I'm easy peasy, having a full-time job, and also, I guess she was a newborn. I mean, she's eight months old now, but having a newborn, wow, and have time for yourself. Like, it's just, it was a really ambitious idea to think that I could do that. And hey, so I posted a video for you guys, I think around in December, where it was like, holy smokes, I've done nothing for 2-3 months, and now it's time to really crunch through. And I will say I've done let's say a so-so job in the meantime. It's been about a month or two, and really what I've had time to do, it's hard for me sometimes to really crunch down, sit down, and really do a bunch of the actual studying that I need, like the material of the test, which, I think I'm like, it's been 5 years since I've taken the Cicerone test, and I've obviously not quit learning and still listen to my podcast, do some amount of reading. And so I definitely think that helped me a lot. I'm stepping into this test like already ahead of, a good amount of people that just passed level 2, but there's still obviously a lot of content that I need to get through. But the big number one thing that I really needed to work on was the vital stats. So the vital stats are, if you don't know, for BJCP, there's about 90 styles that you have to memorize for Cicerone, advanced Cicerone, and it's the SRM range, ABV range, and the IBU range. And it's extremely daunting. Honestly, this has been the hardest part of the test for me to study. It's very not motivating to study for this something, because it's, I like studying beer. Make me study beer, great. Like, I'll sit down there for a few hours. It's engaging, it's interesting, you're learning. With the vital stats, it's daunting. Honestly, it's almost torture. Yeah, you have to sit there and you're sitting there and these numbers, and you just keep getting disheartened because you spend 10, 15, 20 minutes and then you just realize you're getting nowhere because it's just so much information. You're talking about 6 number ranges for 90 styles. I mean, we're talking about 500 numbers to memorize. And part of that, I think, is it's the fault I would blame is both Cicerone program and BJCP. Advanced Cicerone, the Cicerone program, do you really need to memorize this stuff? I mean, like, I think you should be familiar with it, but the weight that they put on is a little high. I think I spoke to Scott, who's actually now, congrats, pretty newly advanced Cicerone. He thinks there's about like 10 points on the test just from those numbers, and so I mean, it's stupid of me not to study that. I mean, like, that literally is from you passing or a good grade to a not good grade. Like, 10 points is a lot on a test. I mean, think about a B to a 90 or a 75 to an 85. I mean, these are vast differences in scores and your ability to pass. And so I say, having mostly focused on that in the last month or two, it honestly takes that long. I'm getting there. It's so hard to describe what it is like to sort of study all these numbers. Because at first you're just like flipping through these numbers. You're like, I'm not gonna memorize these 6 numbers. I'm not gonna memorize these 6 numbers. And you keep going and you're not gonna memorize them, not gonna memorize them. And it takes a lot of time. And finally I'm at the point where I feel like if you give me the stats, I could probably give you the style, most likely, so that's good. And then if you do the blind, where it's like, there's 2 sides of flashcard, the style and then all the numbers on the other side, right? So if you give me the numbers, I probably get the style. That's an easy part. The harder one is, here's a style, here's like Scottish Light. Give me all the information. Scottish Light, let's go. 2.5 ABV to 3.1. By the way, this is not scripted. 2.5 ABV to 3.1. SRM is 17 to 22. IBUs is 10 to 20. Yeah, there you go. And so with those, I probably can get like 50, let's say at least 50%. Like, and then like some of them I'll have like a couple numbers off here and there, and I'm getting there. So by the test point, I think I should be able to get the full 10 points, maybe, 7, I'll be satisfied, right? Like, to a point of comfortableness that you're like, okay, I got this stuff down. And what is it like? I mean, honestly, it's hard to describe what it's like studying these numbers. I mean, I've studied for the bar exam, and you think that test is exhausting, and it certainly is. But that's when I was, single, able to study, no job, able to study 40, 50 hours a week and just do that. Now, as an adult, it's hard with kids and the job and all that stuff. And it's also part of the test where it's not very engaging to study this stuff. It's very disheartening. Again, you study for 15, 20 minutes and you want to stop because your brain hurts and you're like, I don't think I got any of that information in. But eventually you do. And so the best analogy is like sort of like, for me, the analogy would be like, meeting regulars at work and sort of like eventually getting their name. It's like, oh yeah, I recognize that face. So what's his name? And then you get there eventually. And then, or like being plopped somewhere where you have never been and then driving somewhere and just using your GPS, but eventually like you don't need your GPS because you've driven enough, you see enough landmarks, and sort of like, it's something like that, but it's infinite. It's so much information to tackle. It's so much memorization. And so it's really annoying. And, So Cicero, they're putting a lot of points on on that. I feel like if you just have to be familiar with it and close enough to write that stuff down, I think it should be good enough. But instead, there's literally swaths of the test that involve, hey, you have to memorize these battle stats. So I think they're putting a little weight on that. And the other part is the freaking BJCP. Come on, guys, BJCP. So the problem with this stuff is that some styles I understand, like the Czech beers. 5.8 is sort of the upper range of their Plato system. So you got to memorize 5.8. Boom, it goes there. But there's styles where it's just like, why is that 4.4 to 5.6? And then the other sort of similar related styles like 5.6 to 5.4 or 4.6 to 5.4. And then like, why are the IBUs not 20 to 35? Instead, there's numbers like 18 to 35 and 23 to 35. Or, you know, like it makes the BJCP less interesting in my mind because like if the numbers were just smoothed down a bit. And I honestly, I highly doubt that there are specific styles that they're trying to range into that beer is 18 IBUs and that beer is 4.4%. So you got to memorize that. What? Come on, man. We're in a tree style and like, you know, they're in a familiar ABV range. And I understand, you know, their numbers are important. Like American Light Lager, it ends at 4.2. That's just it. Bud Light 4.2 N, you know, that's the number and it goes on. Sure. But there's so many little finicky ones where it's like why is like, what is it? Why is a certain style 3.5? Okay, there you go. This is one. Cream ale is 2.5 to 5 SRM, but American lager is 2 to 4 SRM, 2 to 4, 2.5 to 5. You can tell me BJCP that there's a difference between 2.5 and 2 SRM. Yeah, that's what I thought. And so it's just like it doesn't need to be so like, you know, itty pickly little 0.5s on SRMs and like, you know, instead of a 20 IBU it's 18 and these little like there's like this is styles where like there's 3 to 8. I mean, I guess 3 to 8 IBUs is basically nothing. But anyway, you see my point. There's like little like inches where it's just like daunting numbers where it's, yeah, what's another one? 16 to 26 IBUs. What? Why can't there be 15 to 25? Why not? Like, there's no reason. Like, I promise you there's no reason, but I'm sure Gordon Strong and BJCP can say all they want. So anyway, it makes that part makes the BJCP frustratingly hard to study, and then having to memorize so much makes Cicerone annoying. But that also goes into another part, is the food. I gotta go, geez. The food part of the test. I think they really go a little hard. Honestly, I don't think you'd even need to, like, there's things, basically part of the test is, hey, there's a bunch of dishes that you have to memorize. Hey, here's some ingredients that we might use in the test. And they've actually posted on the syllabus because before they didn't have it on the syllabus. So people walk in blind, not knowing any clue about what kind of dishes they have to memorize. And I would say if you went to culinary school, you probably wouldn't have to know so much. They're asking for ingredients like jaggery and aspic, or dishes and ingredients, salsify. I mean, gravlax? What? Like, for me, I spend a lot of time, like, I'm into food. I cook, I'm a foodie. I spend a lot of time just watching, like, videos, like, you know, epicure, you know, like, recipes, all that kind of stupid stuff. You know, when I studied with the other guys at Cicerone, that was my favorite part of the taking the food bank and dishes food bank and then matching it, because I do pretty well. And this is with not having a syllabus, not memorizing any stuff, but just having it in the back of my mind. And, you know, but like, why? Like, I understand Cicerone's trying to do the kind of sommelier thing where, you know, food and beer, but like, you're not telling me there's any restaurants out there where you're serving gravlax with beer. Like, aspic, like salsify, like there's literally like ingredients on there that you Google it and they don't even have a Wikipedia entry. They don't even, like, you know, there's a specific food blog websites that tell you what it is. And like, I don't think that beer, it's like that, now you're making beer too complex, right? Now I understand that, like, we're trying to elevate beer, but like now you're making beer like too hoity-toity, because these are like, even fine dining restaurants won't have some of these dishes, right? Like, and I understand they want to be diverse and have like Asian dishes, Mediterranean and Middle Eastern dishes and all that stuff too, but like, let's be real here. There's only so far you can go. I don't know, maybe I'm arguing too much, but I'm just nitpicking, but in my opinion, I like that stuff, but I think it definitely deters a lot of people away from the test. I mean, people that are back of house people that are not even sales. I mean, unless you're working in a restaurant, even a brewery. What if your brewery does it in a restaurant? You're just making people study all these like complex things that will not have application. I understand that you have to do something with beer and food, and a good portion of the test involves that and that kind of language and focusing on that, and that kind of like ability to pair is pretty hard and a great skill to have. But the necessity to make people study all these random dishes and ingredients, I think, is a little much. So that's my point. It's just so much. It's like what, like literally things that, like, again, you'd have to like deep dive Google to find them. Like they're not just like, oh yeah, that's a dish. Like, you know, like here's a recipe. Like there's things that are like, I've never been on this website before. I don't know whose website this is, and they're just described. You know, like you understand what I'm saying? Like when you're looking up something that doesn't have a Wikipedia entry, you might be going somewhere in the wrong direction. That's my point. Anyway, not completely satisfied with where I'm at. I've got a month left, but thankfully, part of the original Advanced Cicerone study group, Steve, he's taking it with me. He already just took the tasting exam. He's not sure, may have passed it, but we're gonna try to meet up twice a week, and I love that accountability. Unfortunately, I am part of another group, but not everybody's like taking your march. Like there are people that like haven't even taken level 2 Cicerone, people that haven't signed up for level 3 yet. So like that's sort of hard, where it's sort of hard to organize people that are super adamant about meeting. And I get to really find people that are like willing to meet every week with me. And so that accountability is really necessary for me. So I'm gonna be meeting with Steve. We're gonna do some Zoom meetings. I'm gonna make up some questions, sort of lead what, you know, sorry, it's just sort of lead a group that that we were doing before, you know. So really exciting, and I'd hopefully give you guys some better updates. Hopefully I'm giving you more and more. I'm doing food and beer pairing videos more, trying to do that more for myself. Food and beer cooking I don't have to do, and just go through, and hopefully you guys hold me accountable for what I need to do. And hopefully there's more content. I give you more content. I'm like, hey, this is what I learned this week. This is what I've been studying. Sort of need accountability. So really excited. Don't want to take this test again, at least the written portion, because then the tasting portion is a whole other animal that I'm going to study for. And that's going to be a huge headache, trying to find time and money and all that stuff to study for that. So until next time, guys, cheers. Thank you so much for listening. A lot of ranting going on, but sort of get a clue about the interesting parts about the Advanced Cicerone exam. I mean, obviously a lot of it makes sense. Like, all right, you're going to have to know brewing process. You're going to have to know service. You're going to have to know styles. But vital stats and like really weird dishes and ingredients and all that stuff. But anyway, it is what it is. It's fun studying for this stuff. I'm super lucky to be passionate and able to do something that I love. And thank you to Katie, by the way, she's not here, but thank you to Katie for supporting me, allowing me to do all this stuff. So it's really fun. Until next time, guys, cheers. Thank you guys for the support. If it weren't for your support, I'm not sure. Maybe I'd still be in the industry, who knows? But you guys make it fun. You know, not only do I get to work in the industry I love, but also do passionate side project that I love on my off time. So it's like it's all stuff that I enjoy, and I'm super lucky. So let's take that and stop whining about studying. Just do it, Darwin. Until next time, guys. Cheers. Later.